That's a word now, racialist. What do we mean? Whoever and whatever the skin tone or whatever the culture, man has universally this problem called the flesh. And the flesh brings with it an assumption that you don't have to teach anyone. It is that I am right by virtue of it being me. The psychologists call it the ego, which just means I, and messes everything up because I is a pronoun in Greek, and you see it all through the New Testament. But what I'm getting at is everybody thinks he's good because it's him. And we're also made by God to be discerning. That's why then when we look around, having the ultimate standard of me as God, as the ultimate determiner of what is right, and it being me because of the flesh, which supplants God's glory and replaces it with mine. After we make that connection, we start looking around and saying, whoa, different, visibly different in skin color, different in language, different in something. And then we say lesser because different. I'm pointing to empty pews, by the way. Lesser because different, almost as good because similar. And that's the origin of racism. Racism is nothing more or less than a cultural, I'm okay, you're okay, mutual admiration society of the flesh, where you have a bunch of people with the same characteristics saying we're good because we're us. And see, whatever tag you can put on yourself. See, my eyes were open to this. I grew up believing that every human being was God's image. I grew up in the South. I grew up in a town where the main high school was 50-50 white or Caucasian and of African descent. 50-50. You have no idea what that's like up here. Okay? And you want diversity, you have to go to the casino pretty much at times. But my point is that I grew up believing that human beings are human beings. And we all got off the same boat from the same daddy named Noah. But what shocked me, though, growing up in that post Civil War era kind of culture where you've got still everybody's upset about black and white, was I got in the Army, I dealt with Puerto Ricans and people from Mexico. People from Puerto Rico and Mexico. And there's this animosity that I saw between a soldier who had he had plenty of socializing diversity training and an officer, a soldier that was from Mexico and an officer from Puerto Rico, and they were racially antagonistic toward each other in a way that you could never get away with in a black-white setting because of the Civil War in our culture. But I was shocked. I was like, you guys both speak Spanish, and frankly, you never really need any sun. You guys both have a really good tan. I mean, you both have, dark-skinned, and it wasn't about skin color. It was about me, and I'm from PR, baby, and those Mexicans are this or that, and the Mexicans were the same way. And you see, it's not racism. It's not about black and white. It's not about evolution, although that's what Darwin's book was about, by the way, was which races are better. Whites are the highest chain on evolution. That's what Darwin was arguing. But it's just the sin nature. And that is exactly a great illustration for what you see in Israel. Why? How can these people come behind and perhaps carry the name of Christ and then say, okay, and here's my doctor's card, you need to go get surgery. You need to go get a little bit of debilitating surgery that's best for babies on the 8th day and otherwise really horrible. And the reason is because of this cultural sort of arrogance. And wherever we see it, we should identify it. We should also recognize that we are there. Every one of us thinks we're right because we are, unless we happen to be in fellowship and grace-oriented at the moment. And grace orientation is something that only comes with time and reflection on the grace of God.